When my neighbor threatened to sue me over 6 inches of grass, I decided to give him exactly what he asked for, and it cost him his entire backyard. I bought my first house about 6 months ago. It was a fixer-upper with a huge backyard, separated from the neighbor by an old, rotting wooden fence. My neighbor, let's call him Ken, is a retired HOA president type who measures his lawn with a ruler. The first week I moved in, he came over and told me my trash cans were visually offensive because they were visible from his kitchen window last month. A storm blew down a section of that old fence. Being a good neighbor, I went over to Ken's house. I knocked on the door and said, "Hey Ken, the fence is down. Since it separates both our yards, I was thinking we could split the cost of a nice new vinyl one. I've already got a quote." Ken didn't even look at the quote. He crossed his arms and smirked. "I'm not paying a dime," he said. "In fact, I've been looking at the county maps. I'm pretty sure that old fence was built 6 inches onto my property. So technically, that's your fence, on my land. You need to remove it, and when you build the new one, you better make sure it's on the actual property line, or I'll sue you for encroachment." I tried to reason with him. I told him that moving the fence line would be expensive and a hassle. He slammed the door in my face. The next day, I found a certified letter in my mailbox from his lawyer, demanding I rectify the boundary dispute immediately within 30 days. I was furious, but then, I got curious. Rectify the boundary, okay. Ken, I hired a professional surveyor, not just a guy with a tape measure, but a licensed geomatics engineer. I paid extra for them to find the original iron pins from the 1980s. It took them 2 days. When the surveyor handed me the report, he looked confused. He asked, "Does your neighbor know where the line is?" I said, "He thinks he does." The surveyor laughed. "Well, he's wrong." It turned out, the old fence wasn't 6 inches on Ken's property. It was actually 12 feet onto my property. The previous owner of my house had built the fence way inside the line to avoid cutting down a massive oak tree that used to be there. That oak tree was gone now, but the fence remained. That meant Ken's beautiful gazebo, his prize-winning rose garden, and his expensive tool shed were all sitting squarely on my land. I didn't say a word to Ken. I waited until day 29 of his 30-day deadline. At 7:00 a.m. on a Saturday, I showed up with a construction crew. Ken came running out in his bathrobe, screaming, "What is this? I told you to move the fence." I smiled and handed him the surveyor's report, along with a copy of his own lawyer's letter demanding I build on the actual property line. "Good morning, Ken," I said. "I'm doing exactly what you demanded. We're reclaiming the property line." His face went from red to ghost white as he read the report. He looked at his gazebo. He looked at his roses. He looked at me, but my shed, he whispered. "Yeah, about that," I said. "The crew needs that space clear by noon to pour the concrete for the new posts. Or, since it's on my property, I can just have them demolish it for you. Free of charge." He tried to argue. He threatened to call the police. The police came, looked at the survey, looked at Ken's lawyer's letter, and told him there was nothing they could do. It was a civil matter, and I had the documentation. We tore down the old fence. I took back my 12 feet of land. Ken spent the entire weekend frantically digging up his roses and dragging his shed onto his remaining patch of dirt. I built a beautiful, 8-foot-tall privacy fence right in the real line. Now, I have a massive backyard. And the only thing Ken sees from his kitchen window is a wall of white vinyl.